I'm 28 now, but this happened when I was 25. At the time, I was doing overnight deliveries for a small logistics company in Chicago. It wasn't UPS or FedEx. This place handled priority drops for medical clinics and private security firms. Basically, when someone needed a package moved across the city immediately, no questions asked, we were the ones that got the call. Most of our work happened after dark. Hospitals needed test samples delivered, law firms wanted secure docs moved under the radar, or rich people needed sensitive items discreetly dropped off. You get the idea. The work was weird, but it paid well, and I didn't have to talk to anyone. The company had a small garage in Bucktown. That's where I'd pick up my run sheet, grab the packages, scan them, load them into the van, and head out. Some nights I had 20 stops. Other nights? Just 2 or 3, but they were time-sensitive and had to be logged with delivery codes and witness signatures. All of it was pretty above board. Or so I thought. It was mid-November. Cold as hell. The kind of cold that slaps you awake when you're already sleep-deprived. I had a 4-stop route that night. Everything looked normal, until the last address. It was just a name and a unit. Martin N. Unit 103, Midtown Court Condos. No business name, no delivery notes, no access code. And the package was wrapped differently. Instead of the usual padded envelope or cardboard box, this one was in a plain black pouch, like matte black. No logos, no tape, no labels, just a single white sticker with the recipient's name. That might not sound weird, but trust me, it was. I loaded the van and made the other 3 drops, no problem. By the time I reached the Midtown Court building, it was almost 2:10 a.m. I'd been there once before, about a year back. It's a weird building, fancy but dated. 8 floors, long halls, all indoor access. It's one of those places that tries to look luxurious but still smells like hallway carpet and old metal. I buzzed the main entrance, but no one answered. I tried calling the number listed in our internal system. Straight to voicemail. I was about to leave when the lock clicked. The door swung open slowly, like someone had barely pushed it, but there was no one there. I paused. It was cold and silent. No wind, no footsteps. I figured someone had hit the buzzer from inside and just walked away, maybe to bed or something. I stepped into the lobby. Immediately, something felt off. Not visually, it looked normal. Dim lights, faux marble floors, mailboxes to the left, elevator straight ahead, but the air was wrong. It was warmer than it should have been, stale almost. And still. I walked to the elevator, hit the button, and waited. When the doors opened, I almost laughed. It reeked, like BO and metal, but I didn't want to take the stairs, so I stepped in and hit 1. The doors closed. The floor indicator blinked. 3, 2, and then it stopped. But the elevator didn't open. I hit 1 again. Nothing. The indicator stayed on too. Then it blinked and went dark. I was trapped for maybe 5 seconds, long enough to panic slightly when the doors opened suddenly. I stepped out, not on floor 1, it was basement level, cement floor, fluorescent lights, utility doors. I stepped out cautiously, holding the package in one hand, my phone in the other. No signal, not even 1 bar. I walked forward, hoping to find the stairs. After a few turns, I found the stairwell door. No lock. I pulled it open and jogged up to the first floor, back on track. The hallway to the right had the hundreds. I found 103 easily. It looked normal. Same beige door, same peephole. I knocked lightly, nothing. I waited, then knocked again, harder. Just as I pulled out my phone to leave a drop notice, the door creaked open. A sliver of a face appeared through the crack. Just one eye, wide, pale blue, bloodshot. The man behind the door whispered, "Yes?" "Priority delivery for Martin N," I said, trying to keep it professional. He didn't respond, he just opened the door fully, slowly. The smell hit me immediately. Rotten food, sweat, something sharp underneath it all. Chemical, maybe? He was in his mid-50s, maybe older. Thin, shirtless, wearing tattered pajama pants. His chest had scratch marks, fresh, red. "I didn't order anything," he said, but his voice was robotic, like someone pretending confusion. I explained it was a signed priority drop. I held out the pouch. He looked at it, then me, then back again. "No, this isn't for me." His eyes didn't leave the pouch, but his hands were shaking. I asked if he was sure. He blinked once, then slowly reached out and grabbed the package, but instead of signing, he turned and walked back into the unit, leaving the door wide open. I stood there, stunned. "Sir?" I called after him. No response. I leaned slightly into the doorway. It was dark inside, no lights, just the flicker of a TV in another room, static. "Sir, I need a signature," I said again, louder, still nothing. Then he called out from somewhere deep inside the unit, "The man in 103 isn't me." I felt the hair rise on the back of my neck. "What?" I called. He didn't answer. I should have left. Right then, I know that. But I took a step inside. The smell was worse now, heavy, the kind that sinks into your clothes. There were no lights, just the glow of that TV in the next room. The hallway curved to the left. I followed it slowly. The apartment was trashed. Clothes everywhere, papers torn, furniture overturned. The kitchen counter had knives, lots of them, not organized, just scattered. One had something brownish dried on the edge. I rounded the corner, heart pounding. The man was gone. The static TV faced an empty recliner. The pouch I had delivered was torn open. On the floor beside it, empty. Then I saw the back door, slightly ajar. I stepped forward and pushed it open. It led to an alley. No sign of him. I turned back, trying to breathe. I'd had enough. I walked quickly out the front door of the apartment and made a beeline for the stairs. As I descended, I passed a woman standing outside 105. She looked maybe in her 30s, holding a laundry basket. "You delivering something?" she asked, eyeing my badge. "Yeah, just dropped to 103. She frowned. "There's nobody in 103. I stopped. "What?" She nodded. "That guy moved out. 3 months ago. Some kind of incident. They've been renovating it." I just stared. "You all right?" she asked. I couldn't even speak. I ran down the rest of the stairs and booked it to my van. I checked my phone. No signal until I pulled 2 blocks away. When I got back to the garage, I filed the report and marked the stop complete. But I left the signature field blank. I didn't sleep that day. Didn't even go home. That evening I went back to the Midtown Court building. The door to 103 had police tape across it. An officer was there, taping a notice to the hallway wall. I asked what was going on. He gave me a look, then said, "Tenant returned after months missing." Anonymous tip. I didn't say anything, just nodded and walked away. I still don't know who or what I delivered that night. And I don't know who that man was, but I remember his eyes. Bloodshot, wide, like he hadn't slept in weeks, like he hadn't seen daylight in even longer. I used to work as a night dispatcher for a private security company in Phoenix. It wasn't the most thrilling job, but it paid the bills. The office was a small, converted warehouse about 15 minutes from downtown. I worked the graveyard shift, 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. Usually, it was just me and one patrolling officer in the field, trading updates over the radio. That job taught me something real quick. Quiet isn't peaceful. It's heavy, suspicious. The first month went by without anything worth remembering. Same routine every night. Log in, monitor the cameras at the sites we managed, update reports every hour. Around 3 a.m., I'd usually start to nod off, so I brought in an old coffee maker and a Bluetooth speaker for background noise. I'd play ambient music or true crime podcasts to keep my brain engaged. My boss didn't care what I did as long as nothing slipped through the cracks. It was during my 6th week on the job that things shifted. I was on my 2nd cup of coffee, flipping between camera feeds when I noticed something weird at one of the residential properties we monitored, a gated apartment complex on the outskirts of town. Nothing fancy, just rows of beige 2 stories and dim parking lot lights. Camera 7, facing the east parking lot, was glitching. At first I figured it was just static or a low bandwidth issue. The footage kept distorting, pixelating in bursts every few seconds. But then I realized something stranger. It only glitched when a particular apartment window came into frame. Unit 208. I rewound the footage. Glitch, glitch, glitch. Every time the camera panned across that window, static burst across the screen. The window was closed, blinds drawn. Nothing else, but I couldn't stop watching. There was something unsettling about how the image warped right at that exact point. I don't know why, but it didn't feel like a tech problem. It felt intentional. Still, I logged the footage as a malfunction and sent a ticket to IT. Not my problem. Or so I thought. The next night, I checked back out of curiosity. Camera 7 was still glitching, but now the distortion lasted longer, a full 5 seconds when it hit Unit 208's window. The rest of the camera feed was fine. I stared at the window, then I saw it. For a fraction of a second, less than a blink, the blinds shifted. Just a little, like someone was peeking out. It was subtle, you had to be watching closely, and I was. I called our patrol guy, Marcus, and asked if he was anywhere near the Jefferson apartments. "Not for another 2 hours," he said. "Why, something up?" "Nah, just a glitchy feed. Don't worry about it." But I was worried. By the 4th night, I started noticing other cameras in the area catching glimpses of a figure moving through the parking lot around 2:47 a.m. Every night, same time, same path. The figure never showed up in full, always just stepping out of frame or obscured by a pillar. But I could tell it was tall, thin, wearing dark clothes. One night, I managed to pause a frame that caught more of its silhouette. I leaned in, squinting. The figure was facing the camera, but its face was wrong, like it didn't quite fit. Elongated, pale, no visible eyes, just a blur of white where features should have been. I saved the still frame, sent it to my supervisor with a note. Unidentified person loitering around Jefferson property, recurring, possibly targeting Unit 208. He never replied. That same night, about 10 minutes after I logged the note, the phone at the front desk rang. It never rang that late. No one called us. "Phoenix Sentinel Security, overnight dispatch," I said. There was silence. Then a voice, low, dry, and deliberate. "Stop watching." I froze. "Excuse me? You don't see anything." Click. I sat there for a good minute before moving. I checked the caller ID, private number. There was no protocol for this, so I just wrote it up as an anonymous prank and left it at that, but I started double-checking the locks on the office doors after that. The next night, things escalated. It was about 2:30 a.m. when I switched over to camera 7 again. The feed was clean. I blinked. That had never happened. The glitch was gone. The window to Unit 208 looked still and ordinary. Too ordinary. I zoomed in. That's when I saw the face, pressed right up against the glass behind the blinds, not moving, not blinking, just there. Pale, long, featureless except for a mouth. Wide, too wide. I jolted back in my seat. I looked away to radio Marcus. "Marcus, are you anywhere near the Jefferson complex now?" Static. "Marcus, do you copy?" More static. Then, finally, "You watching me right now?" The voice didn't sound like Marcus. I dropped the radio. I don't scare easy, but something in me flipped. I killed the feed on camera 7. Shut it off completely. I couldn't look anymore. I spent the rest of my shift staring at the office door, every muscle in my body coiled tight. By sunrise, I was ready to quit. I told myself I'd give it one more night. Big mistake. When I came in, the office felt different, warmer, like someone had been there just before me. The air had that lived-in feeling, but nothing looked touched. I sat down, logged in, checked the saved camera footage. Nothing. All of the previous night's recordings from camera 7 were gone. The files were wiped clean. Not corrupted. Deleted. I called my boss. No answer. I texted Marcus. No reply. I opened camera 7 again. Live feed. The window of Unit 208 was open. The blinds were gone. The room behind it was pitch black. I leaned in, heart pounding. Then the screen went black. A new message popped up. Camera disabled. Access revoked. I didn't disable it. I tried switching to other feeds. They were all functional, but every time I clicked on camera 7, I got the same message. I was about to get up and leave, for good, when I noticed something on the monitor. My reflection. But I wasn't moving. The reflection in the screen, it was me. Same shirt, same headset, but I was standing, watching, staring directly at myself. I turned around. Nothing was there. That was it. I grabbed my stuff and walked out without clocking out. I never went back. A week later, I got a call from the company's HR. "We understand you left abruptly," the woman said, "just confirming you're not seeking re-employment, correct?" I told her no. She paused. "Did anything happen that night?" I hesitated. "Why do you ask?" Another pause. "Because the building was broken into. Someone accessed the office. All files related to the Jefferson property were removed. Hard copies, backups, security tapes." "And the police?" "Said there were no signs of forced entry, but the door locks were disabled remotely. Only one person had that level of access." I waited. "You." I hung up. "I don't care what anyone says." I didn't touch those files. But some nights when I walk past my apartment window after dark, I swear I see a face looking in. Not pressed to the glass, just standing back, watching, waiting for me to look. I never do. We moved into that house at the start of August. It was me, my parents, and all 6 of my siblings, 4 brothers and 2 sisters. A total circus. My dad got a job out of state, and the move came fast, barely 2 weeks to pack up everything and say goodbye. The new place was old but huge, with 5 bedrooms and a finished basement. Way more space than we were used to. The moment we pulled into the gravel driveway, my younger sister Emma leaned toward the window and said, "It looks like a place ghosts would live." We all laughed. We didn't know how right she was. The house was way out in the country, like middle of nowhere quiet. No neighbors for a mile, just fields and woods. The kind of quiet where you start noticing how loud your own thoughts are. Still, it was exciting. We were used to cramming into a small townhouse. This place had stairs that creaked, and a wraparound porch, and a massive yard where my little brothers immediately started chasing each other. My parents gave me and my older brother Sam the attic bedroom. It was technically unfinished, but still cozy enough. Sloped ceilings, old wooden beams, and a tiny window that faced the front yard. The house felt lived in. A little drafty, sure, but that was part of the charm. The weird stuff didn't start right away. The first few nights, it was just little things. Knocking sounds in the walls, which we all assumed were raccoons or the old pipes. Our mom would say, "These old places creak and moan all the time. It's just settling." That was the go-to explanation for everything at first. The lights flickering, doors not staying shut, scratching sounds behind the walls at night. But then there was the room. There was a small room off the basement that none of us really used. It was more like a storage nook with a weird wooden door that didn't match the rest of the house. One of the hinges was bent, and it always swung halfway open unless you slammed it hard. The first time we opened it, it was empty except for a rocking chair in the corner and a set of dusty shelves. No windows. It was freezing cold, even compared to the rest of the basement. I remember Sam saying, "This is where the demon lives," and everyone laughed. Nobody went in there after that, not even the little kids. One night, maybe 2 weeks in, I woke up around 3 a.m. I know because my phone was right by my bed, and I checked it. My bladder was killing me, so I crept down the stairs in the dark, trying not to wake anyone. The house was dead quiet. No wind, no movement, not even the usual floor creaks. It felt heavier than usual, like the air had pressure. When I passed by the basement door, I heard something. At first it was so faint I thought I was imagining it, a soft creak, 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 like a slow rocking chair. My first thought was that one of the kids had gone down there. I opened the door and peered down the stairs. Pitch black, except for the moonlight catching the edge of the bottom step. I whispered, "Hello?" Nothing. The creaking stopped. I waited, listening, but there was only silence now. I shut the door and hurried back upstairs. I didn't even pee. That's how unsettled I felt. The next morning, I asked if anyone had gone down into the basement the night before. Nobody had. My dad told me not to scare the younger kids with ghost stories, so I dropped it. But I started paying more attention after that. A few days later, my brother Toby came up to me and said something that chilled me. "I saw someone in the basement," he whispered. "A man." He was 5 years old. I told him he was dreaming, but he shook his head. He was rocking in the chair, he said, but he didn't have a face. That same night, my sister Lily, who was 9, screamed in her sleep. She wouldn't say why, just cried and clung to our mom. She wouldn't sleep in her room for the next 3 nights. Then it got worse. One night I woke up to what sounded like someone walking around in the attic, not inside the room, on top of it. Our attic was the highest point in the house and the roof was steep. Nobody could walk up there. The steps were slow, heavy, like boots on wood. They stopped right above where my bed was, then nothing. I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning I checked outside, expecting to find scuff marks or mud near the gutter. But there was nothing. I even climbed out onto the roof from the attic window. Not a scratch. Later that week, my mom said she heard a man whispering her name in the hallway at night. When she turned on the light, nobody was there. My dad still tried to brush it off, but he was sleeping with the light on in their room from then on. Then came the thing with Emma. She had been acting strange for days. Quiet, withdrawn, not like her. One morning she told us there was a woman who stood outside her window at night. "She watches me when I sleep," Emma said in this deadpan voice. "She has black eyes." Her window was on the 2nd story. That's when my parents finally agreed something was wrong. We brought in a local handyman to inspect the house, thinking maybe there were animals in the walls or drafty spots causing weird noises. He checked the attic, basement, even the little side room, said it was structurally sound but looked spooked when he came out of the basement. I remember him saying quietly, "There's something off down there. I'd keep the kids out of it." We tried. That night, the door to that little room in the basement was open again. Nobody had touched it. It stayed open no matter how many times we closed it. One night I went down there with Sam to check it out. We had flashlights and everything. When we got to the room, the temperature dropped, like stepping into a freezer. We could see our breath. The rocking chair was moving, back and forth, slowly. I swear to you, neither of us touched it. Sam dropped his flashlight. When he picked it up and pointed it back at the chair, it had stopped. We ran. After that, things spiraled. One of my little brothers started sleepwalking. My mom found him standing at the top of the basement stairs one night, just swaying side to side, eyes wide open. He didn't remember it the next morning. Doors started slamming on their own. The dog refused to go near the basement. Emma got sick. High fever, no appetite. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong. We left at the end of the month, packed everything, and moved into a rental in the next town over. My parents never talked about what happened. Not really. Just said the house was bad luck. Before we left, I went down to the basement one last time, just to prove to myself it had all been in my head. I opened the little room. It was empty. No chair, just bare floorboards. I asked my dad if he had moved the chair. He looked confused and said, "What chair?" To this day, I have no explanation. We never went back. The house is still there. Sometimes I check online to see if it's been sold. It hasn't, and every listing photo shows the basement door, tightly shut. I've always hated that basement. Even before anything happened, there was just something wrong about it. The air was heavy. The steps creaked louder than they should. And it was cold. Not winter cold, dead cold, like the kind that seeps into your bones even on a warm day. But the laundry's down there, and with 3 kids under the age of 10, there's a lot of laundry. We moved into this house about 6 months ago. It was an older rental, nothing fancy, but it had a decent yard, and we were desperate to get out of our apartment. My husband travels a lot for work, so it's just me and the kids most days. I figured we could make it work. The first time I went down there, I swear I heard breathing. Not loud, just a subtle wet rasp in the corner where the shadows collect. I laughed it off, told myself it was the old water heater or maybe the dryer settling. That's what we do, right? We rationalize. We have to, or we'd lose our minds. The kids hated it immediately. "I don't like the stairs," my oldest Logan said after following me down once. "It smells like metal." Lila, my 6-year-old, clung to my side the whole time, wouldn't let go of my arm, and Eli, my youngest, just stared into the far corner with that vacant look toddlers get sometimes. "What is it, baby?" I asked. He tilted his head. "The man," he whispered. I laughed, but it caught in my throat. "There's no man, sweetheart." "He's crawling," Eli said, then went back to playing with his toy truck. That night I dreamed about the basement. I was folding towels and heard footsteps behind me. When I turned, nothing was there, but I felt it, like someone breathing down my neck. I woke up drenched in sweat. After that, the sounds started. Thumps, scrapes, low growling, always when I was upstairs, always coming from below. I told myself it was the plumbing, or maybe the dryer vent, but deep down, I knew better. You don't grow up in the Midwest without learning the sounds of a house settling. This wasn't that. This was alive. The laundry started piling up. I'd wait until the kids were asleep or distracted before making a run down. I'd sprint through loads, throwing everything in at once, folding only what I had to. The lights down there flickered sometimes. One bulb went out entirely, and I haven't had the nerve to replace it. Last week I found Lila crouched at the top of the basement steps. She was whispering. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. She turned and blinked. "The boy. He's sad." "What boy?" She pointed down the stairs. "The one in the wall. He says his mouth hurts." I didn't ask anything else. Just pulled her away and locked the basement door. That same night, while putting away the laundry I did manage to fold, I found one of Eli's little shirts torn straight down the middle, like claw marks. 3 even slashes, no fraying, no explanation. The next morning, Logan refused to go into the kitchen, said he saw someone standing at the bottom of the stairs, said it looked like a skinny lady with no eyes. He wouldn't come near the door for hours. I finally broke and called the landlord, told him there might be an animal in the basement. He said he'd send someone by. No one ever came. The noises got louder. The growling turned into low, garbled words. I swear I heard my name once, whispered like it was coming through grit teeth. When I told my husband, he brushed it off. "Old house, you're stressed. Kids have wild imaginations." I'm not imagining this. 2 nights ago, the power flickered out while I was down there switching loads. Everything went black. I stood completely still, laundry basket in my arms, and listened. Drip, drip, shuffle. Something moved on the far end of the room. It was slow, deliberate. My heart was hammering, but I didn't scream. I just started backing toward the stairs, still clutching a wet bedsheet. Then, right before I reached the steps, the bulb above the washing machine flared back on, just for a second, enough to show a shadow slinking into the crawl space. I haven't been able to go back down since. But the laundry doesn't stop. Yesterday, Lila came to me holding one of her dolls. Its face had been scratched off with something sharp. She said the boy from the wall gave it back to her. I'm trying so hard not to break. This morning I found the basement door open. I never leave it open, and the lights were already on down there. I didn't go in, not until just now. The dryer's full. I can hear it humming. I know I didn't start it. The kids are all outside playing. The front door is locked, and no one else is home. But I'm standing at the top of the stairs right now, writing this on my phone, trying to get the courage to go down. The air smells like copper again. Something just knocked 3 times on the pipes. I can't hear the dryer anymore. I'm going down. If I don't come back up, tell the landlord the man in the wall is still here.